Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Sukirti Madhvi presenting you the 8th verse in the series of 108 important verses from Bhagavad Gita. And today's verse is from chapter 2, verse number 22. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naro parani तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. A very interesting verse with a real life example. So here the verse begins with Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Now Vasamsi refers to the dress. Like I'm wearing a sari, you may be wearing a shirt or a sari or a shalwar, anything. So Vasamsi refers to the dress, and jirnani means when it becomes old. So what do we generally do whenever dress becomes old and torn? Generally, we reject that old garment. So that is what is mentioned here. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Vihaya means give up the garment. So when the garment becomes jirnani or old, then one gives up that garment. And what further? Navani grihnati naroparani. Navani means new. Grihnati means acquired. So navani grihnati naroparani. The human beings, they give up the old garment and acquire a new garment. And similarly, so since we are discussing the characteristics of soul, so here it is Tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani. Tatha, similarly, like that, sharirani. So this body in which we are living, what happens to this body? Vihaya jirnani. So ultimately it becomes old and it is given up. And what happens after that is Anyani samyati navani dehi. So when the sharir becomes old or jirnani, it is given up vihai, and anyani samyati, he is accepting a navani dehi. Navani dehi means a new body. So the occupier of the body, the soul, it gives up that body and acquire or occupy a new body. Just like when my clothes grow old or become old or faded or torn, I reject those clothes and I get new clothes. Similarly, I, the soul, so I observe when this body, it becomes jirnani, when this body becomes old and it does not function well, then I give up this body and acquire a new body. So here is a translation of the verse. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. So the learnings from this verse, the first point is difference between transmigration and reincarnation. So I'm sure we would have heard about various birds, that how they migrate. Based on the season, they migrate from one place to another. So when we talk about transmigration of soul, we are actually talking about the journey. So the soul is making journey in various bodies. So sometimes this body of a human, sometimes the body of an aquatic, sometimes the body of a reptile, sometimes the body of a beast. So the soul is doing the journey or migrating. It is traveling across various births. Whereas when we talk about the reincarnation, so reincarnation means coming back, getting into the flesh, getting into this body. So that is reincarnation, whereas transmigration, the focus is on the journey. Reincarnation, the focus is on the body in which a person is getting into. So that is the difference between transmigration and reincarnation. Now the next point, my clothes are important to me, but I do not become my clothes. So I'll wear a particular dress today and after it is old, I change into another one. So the person here or I here, I am different from my clothes. I am not my clothes. In today's session, I am wearing this sari. In the next session, I may wear some other sari. So I am the same, but the clothes are changing. And clothes and me, there is always a difference. So similarly, different bodies are like different dresses which serve different purposes. So I may have a separate set of summer wear And then I may have winter wear. I may have some yoga dresses. I may have some casual clothing. I may have a separate range of clothes which I wear for certain ceremonies. So based on different time, place and circumstances, I choose which dress I wear. Similarly, the bodies, there are varieties of bodies. So there is aquatic body. I would like to swim and I go a lot of surfing, so I may get a aquatic body later on. Or I want to fly high in the sky. This body is not fit for that. Maybe I'll acquire a bird's body. I want to eat anything and everything. So again, this body is not fit for that. But a hog's body is fit for that because it eats indiscriminately. I become very, very lazy and very envious. I may get a python's body. I may want to understand the real purpose and meaning of life, and I may get the human body. So different bodies are like different dresses which we use at different occasions to serve different purposes. And the dress I keep changing, and yet I remain the same. I do not change. The next point, death. It ends the chapter, not the novel. So if you are reading a novel, let's say a fiction novel, so there are various multiple chapters are there. So when chapter 1 or 2 or 5 ends, it does not mean that the novel is over. So similarly, when the death comes, my journey is not over. My transmigration is not over. My existence is not over. In fact, it's the new beginning of a new chapter. So that is what it means to have death of the material body. The next point, the new beginnings. So can we plan the new beginnings? So what we do is we have to focus the next body which we would be acquiring and not which we would be losing. So people get very disturbed when at the time of death, either if I am dying or if somebody, my loved one dies, and we become very traumatized, we become very perplexed and disturbed. But actually, death is a new beginning also. It's just like when our school life ends, the college begins. And focus at that time is on college, not on school life. When the college ends, the job begins. Again, the focus and excitement is about the new job and not over the college. Or when one gets married, then he is no more engaged. But the person does not sit and cry and sulk, oh, I am no more engaged because I got married, right? So it's a new beginning. So death similarly is a new beginning, and we need to plan about that. We need to plan as in where do I want to go next? And the next point, who is the controller? Clothes or me? So do I decide what clothes I want to wear or the clothes choose me? So of course I decide. So I am the controller. So clothes are not the controller. But in our case, when we refer to this body, so somehow we have allowed this body to control us. Who is us here? Me, the soul. So I allow my body to control my soul in the sense that that becomes my true identity. I miss out on the identity that I am the servant of Krishna, and I start connecting that this body is my true identity. Or the body also controls my desire. So bonded by the three modes of material nature, sometimes goodness, passion, ignorance, and different permutation and combination of that. And they actually give me certain desires and I start running behind them. So again, the clothes or the body is controlling me. And the worst what they do is that this identity that I am the body, when I start thinking that this cloth is me and I give the complete control to that, then they deprive us of the spiritual pleasures which are eternal and blissful. So under no circumstances I should come under the control of my clothes. I choose my clothes, the clothes do not choose me. So from today's verse, we learn difference between transmigration and reincarnation. My clothes are important to me, but I do not become my clothes. Death, it ends the chapter, not the novel. New beginnings, and we shall plan about our new beginnings. Who is the controller? Ask the question in all the circumstances of life. Whatever decision we are taking, who is taking the decision, me or my clothes? Thank you all. Hare Krishna.